People often ask me how I was able to achieve and maintain this peak level of physical fitness. Simple. I have modeled my entire life after my Smith and Wesson M&P 1522. I exclusively feed it cheap, shitty ammunition and provide nearly zero maintenance or cleaning. It is abused and neglected, just like my childhood. I've taken these core tenets and applied them to my own diet and exercise program. My fuel source is whatever is readily available at the closest gas station. Daisy, I said peanut butter M&Ms, not peanut M&Ms. I might as well be eating a salad. This not only bucks conventional wisdom, it is a huge middle finger to my cardiologist. What's up, Doc? You caught me in the middle of breakfast. 200 over 150? Sweet. Maybe for your weak ass heart, my shit's Kevlar. Ooh! Somebody play some Skinner. So if you want a reliable blaster and believe that maintenance was invented to get dumbasses to buy overpriced repackaged chemicals, buy Smith and Wesson M&P 1522. All right, you could either be bald for the rest of your life, or you could rock that epic mullet. This is permanent, no takebacks. You're gonna have job interviews, birth of your first child, wedding, inevitably your second wedding. Choose wisely. Genetics has already chosen for me, it appears. Today we're running through the Smith and Wesson M&P 1522, and just in time, 8 years after it was introduced. Cliffnotes. For number of rounds that you can put downrange, general reliability, and just sheer joy of shooting a semi-auto 22 rifle, you're gonna be hard pressed to find something to beat the 1522. It eats everything, you can't kill it, and it's a perfect AR trainer. So what is an M&P 1522? Simple, it's a plastic AR chambered in 22 long rifle. Oh, thanks for tuning in, guys. Catch you on the next one. In all reality, it is a 16-inch barreled semi-auto straight blowback 22 long rifle. They came out about 8 years ago. I bought mine in 2017 for $375. Enough with the specs already. I want the intangibles. How was it to shoot? What's it like to shoot it, huh? It's fucking epic, actually. So this thing is super light. It's a shade under 5 pounds naked. And so target transitions are super quick. And the trigger that I have on there is basically the best trigger that you're going to get on an AR. Arguably one of the top triggers you're going to put on an AR. And it's a 22 long rifle, so there's no recoil. So you can run the piss out of it. Here's me running a full mag at 20 yards on a 10-inch plate. Yeah, it doesn't move. So you can just track the dot on the plate the whole time. This thing is just such a fun trainer. Here's a shot of me in California back in the day, proving that at some point in time it actually did rain in California. America. Chemtrails. One thing I did notice is that the 10-round mags always dropped free for me, but the 25-round mags sometimes can get a little hung up. I'm not quite sure what that's about. Maybe there's a weight difference on there or something. I don't know. Continuing on this how it feels train. It feels like you can trust it. It's plastic, which I'm not always a huge fan of, but I feel like I can trust it. It feels like my CZ Scorpion does. It's a fairly dense plastic, so it's got some heft to it. It's really stiff, so you don't feel like you're gonna bend it way off target if you sling up, but at the same time, it's also got a little compliance to it, so it's not so stiff that you're worried about it being like brittle and cracking when you're pushing out trigger pins or anything. It's really well set up, which is good because this entire damn thing is plastic. I mean, all of it. The lower receiver with integrated buffer tube is plastic. The upper is plastic. The fore end is plastic. The grip is plastic. The stock is plastic. Even the damn T-handle is plastic. If they could have made the bolt and barrel out of plastic, I swear to God they would have. Reliability is massively important, especially because semi-auto 22s are notoriously unreliable. And this is almost entirely due to the fact that the ammunition is made by hungover people on stolen Willy Wonka equipment using powder from disassembled fireworks. The ammo is garbage, and this leads to guns that get to start to malfunction a lot whenever they get dirty, or they're super ammo picky, or they're really finicky about mags. This thing, on the other hand, is a literal living torture test. Conservatively, I have 10,000 rounds through it, and I'm not making this up, and I'm not proud of it, but I can only remember cleaning it twice. Dead serious, can only remember cleaning it twice, and I have never detail stripped it. Am I proud of my actions? No, but I am proud of this little thing for still running. It's badass. If you would have asked me how reliable it was when I first got it, I would have told you to throw this thing in the garbage because it could not get through a mag. But then I read on a forum that it was most likely the ejector blade in that it needed to be pushed. So if you flip it upside down, you push it, you basically push it towards the top of the receiver. So you may be asking yourself, did I go in with some sort of precision instruments and verify my modifications with a dial test indicator? No, I pushed on it with the end of a pencil. I shrugged my shoulders and I said, eh. Then I took it to the range, shot it, and it has run 100% ever since then. It runs perfectly, and I almost exclusively use bulk pack ammo. So the majority of stuff that I put through it has either been Winchester 555, which is trash, M22, which also, depending on which batch you get, was trash, Federal Champion, which worked really well for a while, and then I got a couple batches that were trash, Federal Auto Match, which was good. I think I ran some Golden Bullet through it, don't judge me. Agia, which has been good. What else? CCI Standard Velocity, which is good ammo, and then some fancy Gemtech Subsonic. But the vast majority of what I've run through it has been bulk pack. In the history of mankind, there has never been a better visual representation of reliability whilst being incredibly dirty than the shot of inside of this action. So back towards the stock in the action, you'll see some stuff that looks like moon dust, wet, unsmoothed concrete, and then it transitions into this extremely smooth looking concrete towards the front of the chamber. What that is that all of that burnt powder wax 22 long rifle crap built up so much on the inside of the action that when the bolt comes back into battery, it actually shaves it off and smushes it between the bolt face and the back of the action, and it still runs. Now that's a champion. That's your champion right there. How's the accuracy? In all honesty, at the time of filming this, I have no idea. In the 5 years I've owned it, I've never actually shot this thing for groups. So I'll go out tomorrow or the next day. I'm probably gonna shoot it off a backpack. It's probably gonna be through a suppressor, and I'm not gonna clean it, so it hasn't been cleaned in thousands and thousands of rounds. I'll roll in what the ammo in group size was, and it's most likely gonna be through an unmagnified red dot, which is 2 MOA at 50 yards. So take all of that with a grain of salt. Surprise of the century on this one, switching over to CCI Standard Velocity Target gave me a 1.5 inch 6-shot group because I can't count, and then a 0.84 inch 5-shot group. For a while I ran it stock, except for the addition of a Fortis F1 mount and a primary arms microdot. And it's great, in its factory configuration, it's great. But couldn't leave well enough alone, started playing with it, and in its current configuration, I have the same Fortis F1 mount, except for I swapped the primary arms microdot for a SIG Romeo 5. I swapped the factory stock for a Rock River Arms operator stock, which is kind of like a Magpul STR stock, except for the Rock River that I pulled it off of had a commercial buffer tube, and this M&P 1522 has a mil-spec diameter buffer tube. So that mil-spec buffer tube isn't quite girthy enough. Not quite enough girth for that commercial stock. It's not satisfied. There's a little wiggle in there. Yeah, I like it sloppy, super sloppy. It's fine. It's a little wiggly, but it's fine. The M16 grips, toss those and replace them for an MOE Plus that I ordered on accident. I just wanted the MOE grip, but I got an MOE Plus. It's fine. I swapped the 10 round mags for 25 round mags. The factory trigger is gone in lieu of a Geisley SD3G. So that's a hell of a trigger for this gun. Swap the A2 birdcage for a dead air mask. I'm trying to keep it on the DL. Trying to keep it quiet like, real quiet like. And then I put a couple of the little QD cups up front because I run my Riflecraft RS3 on it. And this setup is the titties of all titties. This thing is so fun to shoot. If you've got one that's stock or you're thinking about getting one, don't feel like you need to do anything to it. The reason I put that SD3G on there at the time was because I bought into that whole, your trainer trigger needs to be the exact same as your primary weapon. Oh, it doesn't. It doesn't at all. So Don't buy into any of that bullshit. The controls are the exact same. The mags are roughly the exact same size. The manual of arms is identical. You don't need to do any of that. If you want to put a nicer trigger on there, it's a hell of a lot of fun. I've never not enjoyed a nicer trigger, but don't feel like you need to do anything to it. If I were buying one today, I would buy the relatively newly-ish released, or re-released, I would say, 8-inch pistol. So they've got an 8-inch pistol that's got an SBA3 brace on there. It already comes with a different grip, different than the M16 grip. I would permanently, or basically permanent, I just leave that dead air mask on there all the time. And probably have a SIG Romeo 5, not even mess with the Fortis F1 mount, just rock the mount that comes with the Romeo 5 on it, and call it a day. Maybe like a $100 trigger, maybe like that $100, $125, $150 trigger range, but definitely not as bananas as I went with this one. I know somebody in the comments is gonna ask, why not just run a conversion kit on your AR versus getting an entire another setup? Conversion kits are great. There's honestly nothing wrong with them, but I know myself and I know that I don't clean firearms nearly as much as I should. And on conversion kits, it gets really important because after a couple hundred rounds, I don't know, 300, 400, 500, 600 rounds, you can get some wax and lead buildup in your gas port. And you're supposed to, at the end of the range session, you know, chase whatever 22 you were shooting with a couple rounds of 223, 556 to just blow all that shit out of the gas system. And then also, a bunch of that unburned powder and shmoo is going to kind of settle down into your lower. So if you're good about cleaning out your lower, then you're going to be good to go. I just know myself. I don't often. It's the reason that I ran that CZ Cadet kit on my compact frame instead of my shadow frame, is because 22s are dirtier than centerfire, and I didn't want to constantly having to be cleaning my shadow because I'm running 22s through it. Can you run a conversion kit? Totally. Go for it, especially if you're better about cleaning than I am. If you just want a complete separate firearm that you don't have to worry about cleaning, you can also get this one. So, wrapping this whole thing up, if you're looking for an inexpensive trainer, relatively speaking, I mean 22 is not cheap, but it's still roughly the cost of primers, this is a fantastic option. You can do any AR training that you would do with it, getting into and out of positions around obstacles, target transitions, reloads, drills. If you want to shoot any like steel challenge with it, go for it. General dick around range plinker, it's a fantastic option. If you're going to hunt, you could totally hunt with this thing, but I don't know, if it were me and I wanted a semi-auto for hunting, I'd probably get something like a 1022. This to me is kind of more range oriented, but there's nothing wrong with it. You could totally hunt with it as well. It's a hell of a lot of fun. Go get one. Yeah. Some quick channel updates. I've always been big into designing, CAD work, 3D printing, machining, and general fabrication. I've shown a tiny bit of that on this channel, but not a whole lot, because YouTube doesn't particularly like any of those topics when combined with firearms. So I've been kicking around the idea of a second channel dedicated to that. If that's something you guys would be interested in, please let me know in the comments below. Also, a couple of you had asked about supporting the channel and why I didn't have a Patreon account. Well, I'm happy to announce that the Tinnitus Show is now live on Utreon, which sounds like an STD for robots. It's actually a combination of YouTube and Patreon, hence the name Utreon. And it's a super cool idea and super cool platform, and they are way friendlier to pro 2A content. There's a bunch of good channels that have already made the move. Forgotten Weapons, In Range TV, TFB TV, they're all over there now. Feel free to swing by. I'd love it if you guys went over there and took a look around. You can follow the channel without paying anything. You can just follow. Or you can subscribe to the channel, which is where you actually offer up monetary support. So, whatever your pleasure, regardless, please go over there and check it out. All right, we made it to the end of the video. If you're still here, thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, drop a comment in the comment sections below. There may be some links in the description below, as well as timestamps. Also, go to the range. Quit watching YouTube. Go shoot something. Later. Just kidding.